Hey everyone, it's Sarah with RegisteredNurseRN.com, and in this video I'm going to be solving some IV flow rate dosage calculations specifically for the drops per minute using the drop factor. And if you'd like more practice with these problems whenever you get done watching this video, you can access the free quiz in the YouTube description below. So let's get started. To help me solve these problems, I'm going to be using this formula. And the great thing about dosage calculation problems is that you can use various methods to help you solve for that answer. It really depends on what method you like or whatever your program's requiring you to use. So in my previous videos, I used dimensional analysis to help us solve for the drops per minute. But today I'm going to concentrate on using this formula. So let's check out what our formula says. So our formula says if we plug in all this information, we will solve for the drops per minute. So what's that information? Well, over here, we would be plugging in the total volume that needs to be infused, and this amount needs to be in milliliters. So if your problem's not giving it to you in milliliters, let's say it's giving it to you in liters, you would have to convert it over to milliliters. Then that's going to be divided into the time that is ordered for it to infuse over. But the time isn't in hours. Notice it's in minutes. So a lot of problems give you the time in hours, so you have to go and multiply that by 60 in order to get your amount of minutes. So always remember to convert before you plug in. That's one place that some students mess up on. Then you're going to multiply that by the drop factor. And the drop factor will be supplied to you, of course, in your problem. In practice, you find the drop factor on your IV tubing. So look at your IV tubing, it'll tell you what the drop factor is. And what in the world is a drop factor? Well, it's the number of drops it takes in order for 1 milliliter of solution to be created. So for instance, here in this problem, that IV tubing's drop factor says that in order to create 1 milliliter, it takes 15 drops. So we would take that information, solve it, and then we get our drops per minute. So let's figure out how to solve this and plug in. Okay, our first problem tells us that the physician has ordered 500 milliliters to be infused over 4 hours. We are using IV tubing that says it has a drop factor of 15 drops per milliliter. And we need to figure out how many drops per minute this patient needs to receive. So let's plug in using our formula. Okay, the total volume that needs to be given is 500. So 500 is going to go here. It's going to be given over 4 hours. So what you can do with this is you can just convert it in your head if you want, because we know that in 1 hour there's 60 minutes. So you could say 4 times 60, and that gives you 240. But I like to write things out so I can keep everything in order. So you can just put 4 times 60, and that will give you 240. So you can go down here and just say 500 again, put 240, and then we're going to multiply that by the drop factor, which is 15. So let's work everything out. 500 divided by 240 is 2.0833 repeating. Multiply that by 15. Whenever we do that, we get 31.249 repeating. And with this, we round to the nearest whole number. So since we have that number, our answer is going to be 31 drops per minute. That is what the patient should be receiving. Our next problem says the physician has ordered 2 liters to infuse over 12 hours. We have a drop factor of 20 drops per ml, and we need to solve for drops per minute. Okay, so with our formula, we have to do a little converting because the problem gives it to us in 2 liters. So pull from your memory of the metric table. We know that in 1 liter, there are 1,000 milliliters. So if we have 2 liters, that gives us 2,000 milliliters. So we're going to put in 2,000 right here. And that is going to be over the minutes that it needs to go over. So we have 12 hours. So 12 times 60 gives us 720. So we'll say 12 times 60, and then that gives us 720. Now we're going to multiply that by the drop factor, which is 20. So let's work it out. 2,000 divided by 720 gives us 2.7 777 repeating, and then you multiply that by 20. That is going to give you an answer of 55.55 repeating, and we round to the nearest whole number, and that gives us 56 drops per minute, and that is our answer. Our next problem says that the physician has ordered the patient to receive an infusion and it needs to run at 200 milliliters per hour, so it's ordered in an hourly rate. And we have a drop factor of 15 drops per milliliter, and we need to solve for how many drops per minute should the patient receive. So this problem is a little bit different than the other ones because this information in the physician ordered part is provided to us in an hourly rate. So we're going to set it up the same way. Okay, so the volume to be given, that's in milliliters, they need 200. So 200 will go here. Now, minutes, that's going to be divided into minutes. It tells us every hour, 1 hour, the patient's going to get 200 milliliters. So what will go here? We know that in 1 hour there's 60 minutes, so 60 is going to go here. We're going to multiply that by the drop factor, which is 15. Then we're ready to solve. So 200 divided by 60 is 3.33 repeating. You multiply that by 15, that gives you 49.9 repeating. We round to the nearest whole number. That gives us an answer of 50. So 50 drops per minute is what the patient needs to receive. Now let's look at this problem. It says that the physician has ordered 1 liter to infuse over 8 hours. We have a drop factor of 20 drops per milliliter, and it wants us to solve for 2 things. So we're going to solve for the drops per minute, but it also wants us to solve for the hourly rate, the milliliters per hour. And the reason I threw this problem in and made it a little bit different than the other ones is because whenever you are solving IV flow rate problems, you will have to solve for sometimes the hourly rate or for the drops per minute. So I wanted you to get familiar with that as well. If you need more explanation on solving for the hourly rate, you can access this video up here and I go into detail about that. So the first thing what I want to do is I want to solve for this hourly rate. And there's a formula you can use if you don't like dimensional analysis or the other methods to help you solve for this flow rate, for this hourly rate. And what it is, it's the volume to be given in milliliters divided by the time, the hours it's going to take. Super easy, and then you get milliliters per hour as your answer. So let's plug it in and show you how it works. So we need to give 1 liter over 8 hours. Right there, our formula is in milliliters, so we need to do some converting. So we know that 1 liter equals 1,000 milliliters. So we have our conversion right there. So 1,000 is going to go right here. It needs to go in over 8 hours, so 8 is going to go here. And you just divide it out. So 1,000 divided by 8 is 125. So 125 milliliters is our hourly rate. So we're going to put that right here. Now let's figure out the drops per minute. So I'm going to erase this right here so we have a little bit more room. Okay, and for here we're going to use that formula like what we've been using on all of our other problems. Okay, so with this there's 2 ways you can work this. It's really whatever you want. Whenever you're plugging into this formula, you could either use this part, what was completely ordered, the 1 liter over the 8 hours, or you could go and you could use the hourly rate that you just calculated. Preference is yours. So I'll show you both ways. First, we're going to plug in just using this information. So we know that 1 liter equals 1,000 milliliters, so it would be 1,000 goes here. Needs to go in over 8 hours. So 8 times 60 is what? It is 480. So it's 480 minutes. We're going to multiply that by the drop factor, which is 20. So whenever we divide 1,000 by 480, that gives us 2.083 repeating. Multiply that by 20. That is going to give us 41.66 repeating. And then when we round to the nearest whole number, that gives us 42 drops per minute. So we plugged in using that. Now let me quickly show you if we plugged in using our hourly rate. You'll get the same exact answer. Okay, so hourly rate, 125 is what is our hourly rate, what needs to go in. And it needs to go in the minutes. So it says for every hour, the patient's going to receive 125 mLs. So 1 hour equals 60 minutes. So 60 goes here. That was easy to plug in there. And multiply that by the drop factor, which was 20. So when we divide 125 by 60, you get 2.083 repeating. Multiply that by 20, and that gives you 41.66 repeating, and as you can see, it's the same exact answer. But I wanted to work that so you could just see it for yourself. Okay, so that wraps up this video on how to solve for drops per minute. And if you would like to watch more dosage calculation videos, you can access the link in the YouTube description below.